Close your eyes for a second and imagine you haven't eaten a single bite in 2 days. Your stomach isn't just growling, it's screaming. But you're smart. You know exactly where the herd is. You tracked them yesterday through the valley, you found the fresh prints, and you've mapped their entire migration route in your head. All you have to do is get there, make the kill, and your family eats. And then it starts. Not a gentle drizzle, but a heavy, soaking, wind-driven rain that feels like needles on your skin. It doesn't stop. It goes all day, all night, and into the next morning. Suddenly, the world is broken. You can't hunt. You can't see tracks because the mud has washed them into nothingness. You can't even move through the open because one slip on a wet rock means a twisted ankle. And out here, 50,000 years ago, a twisted ankle isn't an injury, it's a death sentence. The river near your camp is turning into a monster, and the fire, the one thing keeping you warm, keeping the leopards away, and keeping you sane, is starting to lose its fight against the damp. For you, right now, rain isn't a vibe, it isn't cozy, it's a full-blown existential crisis. And what our ancestors did during that crisis might actually be the reason why you and I are here today.
See, when it rains today, we have this luxury of cozy. You close the window, maybe brew some coffee, grab a weighted blanket, and fire up Netflix. You sink into that perfect spot on the couch, and the rain just becomes high-quality background noise. It makes you sleepy. But for a human 50,000 years ago, that exact same sound, the one you're falling asleep to, could kill you in 3 different ways before the clouds even cleared. The first is the cold. A wet human body loses heat up to 25 times faster than a dry one. If you're stuck in a storm at 50 degrees Fahrenheit without waterproof gear, your core temperature drops into the hypothermia zone in a matter of hours. The second is the water itself. Our ancestors loved caves and rock shelters, but those are usually at the base of hills or near rivers. Heavy rain meant flash floods. We've actually found thick layers of flood sediment in ancient caves, showing that people were literally washed out of their homes, and some of those sites were so traumatizing they were never used again. And the third? Predators. Rain drove everything into the few dry spaces available. We found South African cave sites where human remains and giant cat remains are in the exact same soil layer. Some of those human skulls have puncture marks that perfectly match a leopard's teeth. Rain didn't just make life uncomfortable, it compressed the entire world into a tiny, dry pressure cooker, where humans and monsters were squeezed into the same dark corners.
In the suffocating grip of the primordial wild, one singular duty stood between humanity and total extinction: the flame. For a staggering million years, we were masters of nothing. We could use the fire, but we could not conjure it from the void. To let those embers die during a week of relentless, bone-chilling rain wasn't just a mistake, it was a death warrant. Without it, you were left at the mercy of the gods, praying for a lightning strike or the desperate charity of strangers. This is why our ancestors carried biological lighters, pulsing, smoldering hearts of tinder fungus wrapped in green leaves, a secret warmth that could breathe for days. When they pulled Otzi the Iceman from his icy tomb, his belt revealed the ultimate truth: a 5,000-year-old survival kit, a frantic insurance policy against the dark. As the heavens collapsed in a deluge, the Firekeeper became the most important person on Earth. While the world turned to mud and ice, they shielded that fragile spark with their very lives, tearing into the marrow of wet logs to find the dry heartwood, fueled by the volatile betulin of birch bark. They weren't merely tending a hearth, they were holding back the abyss, a lone sentry guarding the very soul of the human race.
But once the fire was stable and you realized you weren't going anywhere for a while, something incredible happened. The archaeological record shows that these rainy day lockdowns became the greatest workshops in human history. When we look at caves, they are packed with debitage, those tiny stone chips that fly off when you're making a tool. We find these massive concentrations of chips in specific spots, near where the firelight would have been strongest. This tells us that ancient humans used this downtime to mass-produce their gear. At Blumbo's Cave in South Africa, researchers found a 100,000-year-old paint factory. They found abalone shells used as mixing bowls, ground-up ochre powder, and bone stirrers. Imagine the scene. It's pouring outside, the world is gray, and inside, someone is meticulously grinding minerals to make vibrant red pigment. This wasn't basic survival. This was industrial level production. Then you have the bone needles, which show up about 61,000 years ago. These are tiny, delicate tools with eyes drilled into them. You don't make a bone needle while you're chasing a mammoth. You make it when you're forced to sit still for 10 hours. Rainy days gave us the time to invent precision. And it wasn't just tools, it was the invention of string. This sounds boring until you realize that string is the DNA of almost all technology. At a site called Aubry du Maras in France, archaeologists found a tiny fragment of twisted plant fiber made by Neanderthals over 50,000 years ago. In Germany, they found a 35,000-year-old tool made of mammoth ivory designed specifically to twist fibers into rope. Making rope is a slow, repetitive, tedious task. It is the ultimate bad weather project. But once you have rope, you have everything. You can tie a sharp stone to a stick to make a spear. You can build snares for small animals. You can bind hides together for better shelter. Most of the high-tech gear of the Stone Age was likely birthed because someone was bored out of their mind waiting for the rain to stop. They weren't just passing time, they were creating the infrastructure of civilization. They even turned their caves into real homes. At Sibudu Cave, we found 77,000-year-old bedding made of sedges and grasses. They even layered in Cape laurel leaves, which act as a natural insect repellent. They were doing pest control and interior design while the storm raged outside. But the most mind-blowing thing ancient humans did when they were stuck inside wasn't practical at all. It was the art. Think about the Chauvet Cave in France or the caves in Sulawesi, Indonesia. Some of these paintings are 45,000 years old. They feature lions, rhinos, and horses, drawn with such insane skill that they look like they're moving. But here's the kicker. These paintings aren't at the cave entrance. They are deep, sometimes hundreds of meters inside, through narrow crawl spaces that would have been pitch black. Nobody goes into the deep dark to paint a masterpiece when the weather is perfect and the hunting is good. You do that when you've been trapped for 3 days. You've sharpened every spear you own, and you need to express something deeper. You carry an animal fat lamp into the bowels of the earth, and you recreate your world on the stone. It's very possible that the birth of human art was a direct result of being stuck inside during a long, wet week. This physical confinement also forced a social revolution. When you have 20 people trapped in a 400-square-foot space for a week, you have to talk. Anthropologists have studied modern hunter-gatherer groups like the Juhuanzi and found that their daytime talk is all about business, land rights, food, and complaints. But nighttime talk, or rainy day talk around a fire, is 80% stories and myths. This is how we passed on survival knowledge, how to find water in a drought, which berries kill you, and how to track a wounded buffalo. This information was wrapped in stories so they'd be easy to remember. We have Aboriginal stories in Australia that describe sea levels rising from 7,000 years ago, stories that have been told accurately for 7 millennia. That kind of precision only happens when you have a captive audience and a storyteller with nothing but time. Rainy days were the original upload sessions, where the collective memory of the species was refreshed and passed to the next generation. When the sky finally stopped its week-long tantrum, the world basically hit the refresh button in 4K. The ground turned into a high-def tracking map where you could spot a paw print and instantly know the animal's weight, age, and probably its zodiac sign. Then came the termites, literally millions of tiny, crunchy protein nuggets just waiting to be snacked on. It was like a prehistoric buffet with no delivery fee. Tubers were popping out of the mud like pick-me, and every rock hole was a private dispenser of nature's Gatorade. For our ancestors, this wasn't just surviving, it was a total resource glow-up. While it poured, they weren't just moping. They were the OG interior designers, painting murals and likely inventing the first awkward bonding games to kill time. Boredom wasn't a vibe, it was the engine of innovation. So next time you're stuck on your sofa listening to the rain and feeling a bit twitchy, don't panic. You're just participating in a 50,000-year-old tradition. That restlessness is literally your inner caveman asking why you haven't invented a new civilization before lunch.